Salam everyone, welcome to my channel DaringDeen vlog. This is a footage of the interview I took of Sheikh Imran Hosein. This was our second interview, and we had two cameras recording this video, and unfortunately one of them didn't work out too well. It was overexposure. So I managed to edit the other recording, and it's not too bad. It's okay. It's watchable. And this particular question, was one of my first questions. It was about Khidr alayhi salam. Khidr alayhi salam is someone who I have been fascinated from my childhood, because I was very interested in Islamic eschatology, and I used to buy all these books related to Islamic eschatology in my childhood back in the 80s. So, and one of the books I bought was particularly written on Khidr alayhi salam, his life, what he did and what he could do and who he could be. In this book, it didn't quite mention who exactly he was, but the author may have thought he may have been a prophet. And there was a story written on Khidr alayhi salam of his origin. The author mentioned that he was the younger brother of Dhul Qarnayn, and together they went out seeking a fountain of youth, and I think it was called, I can't remember what it's called, Abu Kathar or something, Abu Kaisar or something. And they were looking for it, and Khidr alayhi salam found the fountain, and he drank water from it, and then he disappeared, and Dhul Qarnayn couldn't find him. So I just wanted to, I know this story, I'm not sure if this story is authentic. Actually, I know this is probably not authentic, although you can still hear some sheikhs speaking on this story on YouTube. I think I heard someone, I think from India, Pakistan, sheikh talking about this story. So I just wanted to clarify this issue, and I wanted to ask Sheikh Imran Hosein, because he's probably the most knowledgeable of the sheikhs in the modern era on eschatology. So this was an important question to me, and I'm sure this is something that everyone else would want to hear about. So here's the question. Assalamu alaikum, Uncle Imran. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, I'm okay.
It's very nice to see you. I know you had a very hectic schedule, and you've just done the Dajjal seminar in Birmingham, which is the first of its kind, I think, after a long time. And this is the first one we had on Dajjal, I think, alongside.
I don't know of any other all-day seminar on Dajjal ever to have occurred. I don't know. So it appears to me that my seminar in Birmingham last Sunday may have been a unique event, the first time ever, an all-day seminar on Dajjal, and you could hear from my voice that I've not as yet recovered.
Alhamdulillah, at least there were so many people. I've heard like over 400 people.
More than 450 people attended. There was one who traveled from the United States, flew in for the seminar and flew back. There was one from Sweden, and several people from several different countries came. And we've been so pleased with this event in Birmingham that I can now let you know that the next time, if Allah allows me to return to Britain, I'm about to leave now in a few days' time. I just have one more lecture tomorrow night at Pearly Masjid on the Quran and money, and then I fly out 2 days later. But if Allah allows me to return, then we're going to plan seminars like we had in Birmingham, to advertise long in advance so people can come from different parts of the world, and different subjects. One will be in London, one will be in Birmingham, one will be in Manchester, and one will be in Glasgow, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. That's good. Let me get down to the questions. My first question is about Khidr alayhi salam. But before I ask you about Khidr,
I wanted to tell you about something that I've experienced. Um, when I was young, I used to buy lots of books on Akhir Zaman, and one of the books was dedicated to Khidr alayhi salam. On that book, I remember I read that the author wrote that Khidr alayhi salam was either the friend or companion or the younger brother of Dhul-Qarnayn, and they were on a quest to find a well called Abi Hayat, or the Fountain of Youth, or something like that. And Khidr got lost, and Khidr found the well, and he drank from it, and then he disappeared. And Khidr and the well were not to be found, and Dhul-Qarnayn couldn't find them anywhere. And after that, the author explains the events of Musa alayhi salam and other events. So my question is, I'm not sure about the authenticity of this story, but my question is, what is the origin of Khidr? Is he a jinn, angel, a prophet, or human?
Thank you, Deen, for this question, but I want to teach you a lesson, and having taught you the lesson, taught all the others who will listen to this video. I want you to learn what is knowledge. For a Muslim, what is knowledge? And how do you distinguish what is knowledge from what does not qualify as knowledge? And therefore that you will not ever use your tongue to transmit to others what belongs to Disneyland. It's not only unbecoming of a Muslim to engage in Disneyland stuff, but also dangerous to transmit Disneyland stuff to others. The proper methodology of pursuing knowledge for a Muslim who says he is a follower of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and therefore that he accepts the Quran as the word of the one God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to always turn first of all to the Quran. If you turn first of all to the Hadith, you're not following proper methodology. You're wasting your own time, and you're wasting my time as well. If you don't turn to the Hadith, you turn to some Tom, Dick or Harry who gets information from I don't know where. Without having turned to the Quran first of all, then you are less than even a student. So my advice is to always turn to the Quran first of all to acquire knowledge. And if our subject is Khidr alayhi salam, go first to the Quran. Does the Quran tell us any information about him? And then having gone to the Quran and located from the Quran what is there in the Quran on the subject, only then do you go to the Hadith. And that's your second source of knowledge, the Hadith. But when you go to the Hadith, you look for those Ahadith which are in harmony with the Quran. That's your first duty. And when you find Ahadith which are in harmony with the Quran, then in accordance with the procedure of recognizing the Quran is absolute truth. Supreme knowledge is in the Quran. You now accept the Ahadith which are in harmony with the Quran. I've been teaching this for so long. When you accept these Ahadith which are in harmony with the Quran, your database will expand. Your capacity to understand the subject will expand. Only then after that do you go to knowledge which is located outside of the Quran and Hadith. And from the time you find that the knowledge that you get outside of the Quran and the Hadith, if it is in conflict with the Quran, you reject it. If a Hadith is in conflict with the Quran, you reject it. And if that knowledge outside of the Quran and Hadith is not in harmony with the Quran or not in conflict with the Quran, it has a lower status, not worthy of being used for building the edifice of knowledge. So I don't know where this author got his information from, but it most certainly Most certainly, he didn't get all of this knowledge from the Quran. Where he got it from, I don't know, and believe you me, I don't care. When you go to the Quran, you find that Khidr alayhi salam is not mentioned by name. But from the hadith, we're able to identify that this is Khidr alayhi salam. The hadith is in Sahih Bukhari. And the Khidr that we find in the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf, this is the only place in the Quran in which we locate that which can be identified as Khidr alayhi salam. The Khidr alayhi salam that we identify in the Quran is a human being. Yes, he's not an angel, he's not a jinn, he's a human being. Whether he is a prophet or not, I ask you, I invite you, go look at the Quran. Does the Quran say he's a prophet? Is it the function of Tom, Dick and Harry to appoint prophets? No, only Allah appoints a prophet. And if Allah has not confirmed that someone is a prophet, then the proper response from us should be to keep quiet. We don't know whether he's a prophet or not. We do not want to know. If Allah says he's a prophet, fine. If Allah does not, this is not knowledge for us. Yes, this is Khidr alayhi salam. If he is not a jinn, he's not an angel, he's a human being. We do not know whether or not he's a prophet, and we don't care for that. No. Then what is his function? Allah has sent the Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran as a surah par excellence of Akhir Zaman. And in Akhir Zaman, we are being subjected to the greatest tests and trials that mankind will experience from the time of Adam alayhi salam to the last day. And those tests and trials come most of all from Dajjal. If you want to understand Dajjal, if you want to respond to Dajjal, follow Khidr. That is why Allah sent him. Allah sent Khidr alayhi salam in the Quran to be the model of Islamic scholarship in Akhir Zaman. This is why the Darul Ulum is a total, complete failure, including Al-Azhar University and all the so-called Islamic universities. They are a total failure in respect of recognizing the reality of the world today and responding to it appropriately. They're closing the doors of the masjid on me. Shame on them. Your Darul Ulum is a total failure. It is producing graduates who are incapable of recognizing the reality of the world today and in responding to it appropriately, because they're not following the model of scholarship which has come from Khidr alayhi salam. What is that model of scholarship which has come from Khidr alayhi salam? Number one, that Allah says of him, وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِن لَدُنَّ عِلْمًا. He is a man who is personified by knowledge which has come directly from Allah. There are two sources of knowledge. There is knowledge which is externally acquired and knowledge which is internally received. And Khidr alayhi salam receives knowledge internally. Only those who receive knowledge internally can interpret the ayat mutashabihat of the Quran. And even when they interpret it, only Allah can confirm that their interpretation is correct. Khidr alayhi salam is to be found at the place where the two oceans meet. And these are the ocean of knowledge that is externally acquired and the ocean of knowledge which is internally received. When these two oceans of knowledge are harmoniously integrated with each other, only then will you produce the scholar who can recognize the reality of the world today and respond to it appropriately. And the Darul Ulum is not doing that. They can shut the doors of the masjid to me, but history will leave them behind. And those who follow the methodology and the path of Khidr alayhi salam, they are the ones who will succeed in recognizing the reality of the world today and responding to it appropriately.